Good day, Algebra 2 students. What you are about to witness is a lesson on operations on functions. You will need the notes you received in class as well as your Springboard textbook. It is so exciting, you may just wet your pants. So have a clean change of underwear on standby and let's get to work. All right, before we start our notes, you will need your Springboard book. This is page 73 in your Springboard book, page 73. All right, we're going to be today combining functions using arithmetic operations. That just means adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing functions. And before we do that, we're going to be building functions that model real-world scenarios. So this says Jim Green has a lawn service called Green's Grass Guaranteed. Tori and Stefan are two of his employees. Tori earns $10 per hour. Stefan earns $8 per hour. Jim sends Tori and Stefan on a job that takes them 4 hours. What I want you to do right now, I want you to pause the video and try to answer questions 1 through 6 on your own. 1 through 6. All right, and then after you've done that, unpause the video. Let's see how we did. This will be a good lead into our lesson. Did you do it? Of course you did. Okay, so let's see how we did here. So first of all, it asked us, number one, asked us to write a function to represent Tori's earnings in dollars, and then also write a separate function, S of H, to represent Stefan's earnings. Tori earns $10 per hour, so his function would say T of H equals 10H. Stefan earns $8 per hour, so what's that mean for Stefan's function? S of H equals 8H. All right, number two. Find T, now this doesn't mean T times 4, this is T of 4. Find T of 4 and S of 4, tell what these values represent. You're just plugging in 4 into these. 10 times 4 and 8 times 4. So you're going to get 40 and 32. That's how much each of these people earn for a 4-hour job. Number 3 is just asking us to add these answers together. 40 plus 32, which is of course 72. Now what does that mean for this situation? That means the two of them together earn $72 for this 4-hour job. Now, question number 4. This one, I know some of y'all may have had trouble with this one. It's asking us to add the functions, and this is kind of what the emphasis of our lesson today. All right, it's not asking us to add the answers, what we did here. It's asking us to add the actual equations. 10H plus 8H gives me what? 18H. That's my new function. And question number 5 asks, what does that 18H, what does that represent in the situation? It's how much the two of them together earn. The amount of money Tori and Stefan earn together. And then last thing, now some of y'all might be thinking, wait, didn't we do this already? Yes and no. This is not asking us to add these numbers. This is asking us to plug in 4 into this new equation. 18 times 4. Now when I do that, does that give me the same answer or a different answer from when I plugged in the 4 into each individual function and added? It should give you the same answer. It gives you 72. All right, and that's going to be really important for what we're doing today. All right, you're asking yourself, why did we do this whole activity? Because what this is telling us, oh, and by the way, number 6, they're earning $72 for that 4-hour job. But what this activity does, what it tells us is that if I plug in a number, if I evaluate 2 separate functions, and then I do some operation on it, I add them together, I get the same answer as if I added the functions themselves and then plug in a number. That's going to be really important for our lesson. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started on the notes. You should have received these in class. They're also posted on Google Classroom. The hard part of this lesson is not doing the math. The hard part is just understanding what the problem is asking us to do. So problem number 1, we've got a function g of x is x squared plus 1. H of x is 4x plus 2. It's asking us to find g plus h of x. It's asking us just add the functions together. Combine like terms. Remember, they have to have the same variable and same exponent to be like terms. So x squared, there's nothing to combine with that. I'd leave that alone. That's an equal sign. All right, 4x, nothing to combine with that. I'd leave that alone. 1 plus 2, I'd have 3. That's my new function. Just combine alike terms. X squared plus 4x plus 3. Now, problem number 2. Wait, this is written different. This and this are asking us to do the same thing, all right? Whether it's g plus h of x or whether it's g of x plus h of x, it still just means add them together. So again, combine like terms. Nothing to combine with x squared. Let's see, I have a 7x and a 3x. I can combine, make that 10x. And then there's nothing to combine with the 4. So that's just going to be a plus 4 at the end. Easy. Problem number 3. Now this time, be careful. It's asking us to do what with g and h? To subtract them. Now, one common mistake a lot of people make, they want to say, okay, x squared plus 3x minus 3x, and then I'll have a minus 2. So 3x minus 3x is going to cancel out. The answer is x squared minus 2. That's not quite right, because we're subtracting all of function h, not just the 3x. So yes, I have the x squared. Nothing I can do with that. I'll have 3x minus 3x. All right, going to give me 0. They cancel out. And then I have minus negative 2. So it's a plus 2. So really what happens in these subtraction problems is you wind up distributing that minus. You change the signs of all these. So this becomes a minus 3x and a plus 2. And then you combine like terms. My answer would be x squared plus 2. So just don't forget to distribute that minus, that negative, to everything in the second function. Same thing with problem number 4. All right, this is another subtraction problem. Now, this time it's not just asking for g of x and f of x, it's asking us to plug in negative 9. I can plug in negative 9 into each of these functions first and then subtract those answers, or I could subtract the functions like what we did in problem number 3 and then plug in negative 9. You should get the same thing. So I'm going to subtract the functions first. Remember, it's subtraction, so I'm distributing a minus. I'm subtracting each of these individual things. So as far as just the function, I'd have, let's just say, g minus f of x is going to be, now I've got a negative x squared. I'll have negative 4x. And then I have plus 4 and plus 3, and you give me plus 7. Now that's not the final answer because it's asking me to actually evaluate, plug in a negative 9. So g minus f of negative 9. And you got to be careful with this because it's, don't combine the two negatives. Don't make that a positive 9 squared. It's minus, parentheses, negative 9 squared, minus 4, parentheses, negative 9, plus 7. All right, if you don't trust your mental math skills, you could type it in your calculator exactly as you see it here, but don't make this a positive 9 because order of operations, you have to do negative 9 squared first, which is positive 81, and then put the negative on it. So that's a negative 81, and then negative 4 times negative 9 is going to be positive 36, and then plus 7. Your final answer to this problem should be negative 38. Okay, so that's adding and subtracting functions. Really quickly, let's look at multiplying and dividing, and then we'll be done. Number 5, it's asking us to do g times h of 4. Now, does it matter whether I put the 4 into each of these and then multiply, or whether I multiply and then put the 4 in? It doesn't matter, okay? So I'm going to just multiply the functions first. All right, so I'm doing 4t plus 3 times 3t minus 4. Now, do you remember, how do you multiply these things? You distribute it. You distribute each of these terms times each of these terms. Or you may have, your teacher in Algebra 1 may have called it FOIL, F-O-I-L, first, outer, inner, last. You just multiply each times each. 4t times 3t, that's going to be 12t squared, not 12t. 4t times negative 4, going to be negative 16t. 3 times 3t, going to be plus 9t. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Now, are there any like terms? There sure are. I can combine these. 12t squared, negative 16 plus 9, going to be negative 7t. All right, and then minus 12. Now, we're not done because what did it ask us to plug in here? 4. So that's going to be 12 times 4 squared minus 7 times 4 minus 12. You could work it out by hand, or you could just type it straight into your calculator. You should get 152. 3 more. Number 6. G times H, nothing to plug in this time, so I'm just multiplying these out. I'm just working out a plus 4 times a squared minus 1. I want you to pause the video now. You try that one. Did you do it? I hope you did. So when I multiply these out, a times a squared is going to be a to the third. All right. A times negative 1 is going to be minus a. And then 4 times a squared is going to be plus 4a squared. and then 4 times negative 1 is going to be negative 4. That's our function. All right, now there's nothing to combine, no like terms. Yes, you might want to put it in order. I like to put them in biggest to smallest exponents, but you don't have to. All right, you can, as long as you have these 4 terms in your answer. That's a to the third minus a plus 4a squared minus 4. All right, 2 more. All right, again, don't let the notation confuse you. This, g times h of a, and this, f of n times g of n, means the same thing. I'm just multiplying this times each of these. Now, this one's got a 2n squared. This one has an exponent already. Do you remember what you do with exponents when you're multiplying? You add them. All right, so I'm distributing 2n squared to this whole negative 4n squared plus, that's a squared, plus 2n plus 3. I'm just going to distribute that to each term here. So my answer is going to be 2 times negative 4, negative 8. It's going to be n to the 4th. You're adding the exponents. 2n squared times 2n going to be plus 4n what? 4n to the 3rd. Because this, remember, it's n to the 1 right here. So 2 plus 1. And then 2n squared times 3 plus 6n squared. So the answer should be negative 8 into the 4th plus 4n to the 3rd plus 6n squared. All right, that's multiplying. And the last thing we're going to look at very quickly, division. G over F, that just means divide. G divided by F. Now, how do you divide these? Well, before you panic and say, oh, this is going to be so hard. No, actually, this is the easiest problem ever. Because look, this divided by this, I would just write it as 3a minus 5 over a plus 4. Now, can you simplify that? Most of the time, you cannot. This one, no, you cannot. This is the final answer. All right, the only time you could simplify this is if there's something you could divide out of every part of the problem. Like, for example, if this had said 3a minus 6 over 3a plus 12, then you could divide the whole thing by 3 and you'd reduce it. But you can't do that here. So that's my final answer. Nothing else I can do with that. That is my function. So that's adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing functions. All right, so make sure you're completing all the assignments I have on Google Classroom on this, and I'll see you in class.